Settlements is one of those games that is going to stand as a very unique title that came out in 2019. And if you fall within that group of people who are going to love it, you're going to find a game that you could play for hours and hours on end. But that is going to be a very narrow group, to say the least. So, the concept of this game, I guess in the simplest way, could be described as, what if Civilization was an RPG instead of a 4X strategy game? And it's a very brilliant concept in that regard. The game starts you out in prehistoric times, and your mission is to lead the people to basically all the way to the space age, while dealing with everything from strange demonic creatures, giant rats, and plenty of bears. So the game itself is all played through still images, as you can see here. Your people are named characters and are randomly generated as you build up various homes. Each area, at least in the starting game, is made up of 6 plots. And you are free to put whatever you want within those plots, but typically you want at least 2 homes, a resource generator, and a resource producer. Now, all the resources are shared between your various colonies, your various settlements. You'll see in the bottom left hand corner that at this moment I have 2 settlements. Now, progress is defined by upgrading your various people, as well as getting new gear and equipment unlocked. And you're free as you tech up to construct various pieces of equipment, armor, swords, shields, clubs, you name it, and put them onto your characters. The more a character makes use of a job, and you assign jobs by placing them into a resource gatherer or resource producer, or equipment producer, will level them up in that respective skill. The higher they are at that skill, the more they'll be able to do in it. So somebody who's really good at farming will be able to gather resources faster, just as somebody who's good at combat could learn special moves or abilities they can use in the field. And like I said 2 minutes ago, this is very much an RPG in this kind of design as opposed to a 4X game. And there's a lot of little subsystems to settlements. You have a world map where you can send characters out to explore. There's combat that takes place in kind of a turn-based RPG form. And all this is designed to kind of move your progression forward. Like I said earlier, the main objective of Settlements is to reach the space age and kind of see where the story goes. And a lot of the elements, in terms of its design, have been seen in the strategy or 4X genre. Again, turn-based combat, individual units, etc. But the game itself is pretty much built, or is kind of layered onto this kind of RPG system. As you craft goods, for instance, there's a chance that you can craft higher rarities of various weapons and gear, which in turn has better stats to them. And again, every weapon belongs to certain classes, has different functionalities, or different characters are best suited for them, etc., etc. And the game definitely hints at more depth and progression as you get further into the ages. It may be kind of hard to see, but on the right hand side, the game is giving me resources such as electricity, oil, coal. I'm sure there's nuclear power at some point. And there's definitely more to this game. There's even little miniature dungeons you can send people out to. And just like in any RPG or personalized or personalization focused game, you can start to, really get to know your characters. You can name them after whoever you want, and as long as they don't die, they will ideally stay with you until the very end. And so much is going on, I think, with this game that, as I said, there's, I think, a certain sense of magic to this title, and I was really getting into it. But there are some very big caveats with settlements. And for those of you who are on the design sense, you probably have noticed a few of them over the course of the video so far. And with that said, we're on to our quick Patreon supporter and sponsor shout out now. And when we come back, we're going to talk about some of the areas where I think Settlements takes an arrow to the knee in terms of its UI and design, and what may keep it from mainstream appeal. And now for a quick shout out to our current Game Wisdom supporters and sponsors. Going forward, all Patreon supporters will get early access to our videos. And if you'd like to continue this discussion on game design, be sure to check out our Discord channel, link down below. If you're looking for more wisdom about game design, be sure to check out my latest offering of books, 20 Essential Games to Study, aimed for first-time developers and students looking for some inspiration for their upcoming games, and Game Design Deep Dive Platformers if you're interested in anything regarding 2D and 3D platforming design. They're both available in print, digital, and wherever books are being sold. Settlements has some really great ideas to it, but a lot of the problems I feel stem from an overall issue of playability. So as you probably have assumed or guessed by now by watching the footage, this game is not a good looker, both in terms of graphics as well in terms of its UI. Lots and lots of icons on the screen right now. You have that message log on the bottom right that can be hard to see as well. And the game makes it very hard, I feel, to fall in love with it. A lot of important information is not readily explained or is hidden beneath layers of screens and tutorial that, for new players, it's very easily to miss. Stats such as what does improving, I think it was resource gathering rate or resource supply rate actually do, and the game seems to be built on a lot of busy work or very finicky things. For instance, it's not easy to quickly resupply characters. You have to do it manually for each one, even if you just want everybody to use the same weapon or the same kind of armor. Information such as what weapon is better for what character is very much hidden. While the game does feature some tooltips, there's no dynamic tooltips or UIs, making it very hard again to know, okay, if I give this character a spear, is this better than an axe? Or is this a better role for X versus Y? And these kinds of issues just kind of undercut a lot of Settlements' design, because you're going to be spending a lot of time staring at these screens and not really knowing if something is good, bad, or if you're kind of leading to the end of your society. Now, when it comes to combat, as you saw right there, it's either going to be very easy or very hard. And as you push into kind of I think it's the second or third age of the game, combat becomes a lot greater of a focus, more to the detriment of playing the game. You'll start to get settlement attacks where you'll be hit with 30, 40 different enemy units, and your group of 6 or more, or 6 to 8 people in your town, may have trouble defending. And the game doesn't really do, I think, a good job of explaining how combat works, as well as the importance of roles and leaders and etc. As another very big annoyance, the UI for moving units in and out of combat or out of the field and reserve is very cumbersome. You have to click on the button, a tooltip comes up that you have to click into the window comes up, you have to click into the window to tell it to go away, to then click on the units that you want to swap. It's just not at all elegant in terms of its UI. And this is something that you have to do constantly, especially when the settlement rates become more and more pronounced. people on their forums for the game have said that a big part about it is failing early and then replaying the game to, using your new knowledge. Again, trying to give it that roguelike kind of feel to it, but this is definitely not a roguelike. Again, this is a good 30 plus hour RPG that you're going to be very annoyed if in hour 15, because of something you didn't realize, you now have to restart your game. And as I've been saying, I love the concept of this game, but in this implementation, it's going to have, and I think it does have, a very niche audience. Because you're going to have to put up with a lot of the quirks and essentially just unelegant elements of its design to really get into it. And I'm sure there's more depth to this game, especially as you get into the modern age and trying to expand on that front. But in the grand scheme of things, how many people are really going to do this? And one thing that I didn't mention very quickly is that the game features kind of almost like a cascading losing effect. You have the doomsday wheel, that every time you fail combat or something bad really happens, it basically adds another pip or segment to the wheel. When it completely fills up, you lose. And this becomes more and more frustrating as the enemies begin to start attacking you. And a lot of people have said that a good strategy is kind of over-preparing in terms of defenses and characters before moving on to the next age or advancing the story. And also, as you saw as my OBS went up there for a second, we could not get a full screen to work. And this is a problem I think people are talking about on the forums as well. And I think with that, it's going to be a good time to wrap up talking about settlements. For those of you who have played this game, I'm really curious to hear what you think about it. Because I can see this being one of those games that you are either going to bounce off of it very quickly, or you are going to be all in and try to play it all the way through to the end. But with all that said, thanks for watching this video. Be sure to check back for daily discussions on game design here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games. Until next time, take care. Thanks for watching the video. If you enjoy things, be sure to do all the liking and subscribing that the kids are doing these days. Check out our Discord channel link down below where we hang out and chat game design, and come back later tonight for our regular streamings. But that's it, and tune in for more great content here and on Game Wisdom, where we examine the art and science of games.